The massive crystal chamber floated in the darkness of space, its walls glowing with soft blue light. Inside, 12 different alien species sat around a circular table that stretched nearly 100 meters across. This was the Galactic Dominion Council, and today they were discussing the newest problem in their perfect galaxy. War strategist Zixthara stood at the center of the table. Her forearms moved gracefully as she operated the holographic display. The creature looked like a giant praying mantis, but her mind was sharp as any blade. She had planned victories across 1,000 worlds over her 300-year career. Fellow council members, Zixthara began. Her voice translated into 12 different languages through the chamber's systems. We face an unusual situation. The species called humans have refused our generous offer to join the Dominion peacefully. The hologram showed a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. Earth looked tiny and helpless in the vast display. Around it, small ships moved in basic patterns. The alien council members made various sounds of amusement. Some clicked their claws. Others hissed softly. A few just shook their massive heads. These humans, continued a council member whose species looked like walking trees. They have only just learned to travel between stars. Their technology is thousands of years behind ours. Why do we waste time talking about them? Zixthara's compound eyes glittered. Because they said no. In 3,000 years of expansion, no species has ever refused to join the Dominion. They always see reason when they understand our power. The hologram changed to show human ships. They looked rough and simple compared to the smooth, elegant vessels of the Dominion. Where alien ships curved like works of art, human ships were all angles and hard edges. They looked more like tools than proper spacecraft. Look at their weapons, Zixthara pointed with one of her arms. Red markers appeared on the human ships. They still use kinetic projectiles, metal bullets fired by chemical explosions. Their energy weapons are basic laser systems that our shields can stop easily. They have no plasma cannons, no quantum disruptors, no gravitic weapons. A council member who looked like a floating jellyfish pulsed with colors. What about their defensive systems? Even more primitive, Zixthara replied. Simple energy barriers. Basic armor plating. No phase shields, no dimensional deflectors, no reality anchors. Their largest ship has the defensive capability of our smallest patrol craft. The display showed comparative numbers. Human ships numbered in the hundreds. The Dominion fleet approaching Earth numbered in the tens of thousands. Each Dominion vessel was larger, faster, and more heavily armed than anything humans had built. How long until they surrender? Asked a serpentine creature whose scales reflected the chamber's light. Zixthara consulted her calculations. Mathematical formulas appeared in the air around her. Our computer models show complete human defeat within 6.7 standard hours. Most of that time will be spent destroying their outer defenses. Once we reach their home planet, resistance will collapse immediately. The council members seemed satisfied. This was how things always went. A primitive species would resist briefly, realize they were outmatched, and then gratefully accept Dominion protection. It was a pattern that had repeated across the galaxy for millennia. There is one small concern, Zixthara added. Our intelligence on human behavior is limited. They have only been in space for a few decades. We know little about their psychology or tactics. The tree-like council member waved a branch dismissively. What is there to know? They are carbon-based life forms like most species. They will follow standard military doctrine. When faced with superior force, rational beings surrender to preserve their lives. Meanwhile, millions of kilometers away, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the human flagship Indomitable. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes, but every person on the bridge looked to her for orders. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations. The bridge hummed with quiet activity. Admiral, called Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications station, we're receiving the final message from the alien fleet. They're demanding surrender within 1 hour. Chen nodded. Any response from Earth Command? Yes, ma'am. President Williams sends her regards and says to give them hell. A few officers smiled at that. Chen studied the tactical display showing the approaching alien fleet. The numbers were not encouraging. For every human ship, there were 50 alien vessels. For every human weapon, the aliens had 100. By every measure that mattered in space combat, humanity was about to be crushed. Ma'am, said Commander Torres, Chen's tactical officer. The xenobiology team has finished their analysis of the alien fleet composition. What did they find? Torres handed her a datapad. Something interesting. These aliens have been using the same basic ship designs for over 1,000 years. Same weapons, same shields, same tactics. They've perfected their technology, but they haven't really changed it. Chen studied the data. The alien ships were indeed perfect examples of their type. Smooth hulls designed for energy weapon combat. Shields calibrated for plasma and particle beam attacks. Formation patterns that maximized firing arcs while minimizing exposure to return fire. It's like they're fighting a war from a textbook, Chen murmured. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Patel thinks they've become too specialized. Their entire military doctrine assumes everyone fights the same way they do. Chen looked around the bridge. Her officers were young, most of them. Humanity's space navy was only 30 years old. These people had grown up playing video games, studying Earth's military history, and thinking about problems in ways no other species had ever considered. Do we have the final deployment orders from the fleet? Yes, Admiral. All ships are in position. The asteroid miners are standing by. The civilian transports have been converted as ordered. Chen smiled for the first time that day. Excellent. Send a message to all ships. Operation Chaos Theory is now active. Across the solar system, human ships began moving into positions that would have confused any military academy in the galaxy. They didn't form neat lines or protective formations. Instead, they scattered like leaves in a windstorm, moving in patterns that seemed random and desperate. The alien fleet detected the human movements and increased speed. To them, it looked like the humans were panicking. Some ships were running toward the outer planets. Others were diving close to the sun. A few groups were actually moving toward the alien fleet, which the aliens interpreted as confused suicide runs. Zixthara watched the human formations with satisfaction. See how they scatter? No discipline. No organization. This will be even easier than our models predicted. But on the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Chen was implementing a battle plan that had taken Earth's best military minds 3 years to develop. It was based on everything humanity had learned about warfare in their violent history. It used tactics inspired by everything from ancient Roman legions to modern fighter pilots. Most importantly, it was designed to fight an enemy who had never faced an opponent that refused to follow the rules. The alien fleet continued its approach, confident in their superiority. They had no idea they were about to encounter something the galaxy had never seen before. Humans who were fighting not just for victory, but for the survival of their entire species. The battle would begin in less than an hour. The aliens expected it to last until the next day. They had no idea it would be over in less time than it took to watch a movie. The Dominion fleet moved through space like a perfectly choreographed dance. 10,000 ships arranged in precise formations that had been refined over centuries of warfare. Each vessel knew exactly where to be, when to fire, and how to coordinate with its neighbors. It was military science at its finest. Fleet Commander Vorthak stood on the bridge of the massive dreadnought Eternal Glory. He was a tall, gray-skinned humanoid with 6 eyes that could track multiple targets simultaneously. In his 200 years of service, he had conquered 47 worlds. Not one had required more than a day of actual fighting. "Commander," reported his tactical officer, a spider-like creature named Sektar. "Human fleet movements continue to be erratic. They appear to be spreading throughout their solar system with no apparent strategy." Vorthak studied the display. Human ships were indeed scattered everywhere. Some hugged close to planets. Others had moved far out into empty space. A few groups were actually flying directly toward the Dominion fleet, which made no tactical sense at all. "Perhaps they're trying to evacuate their population," suggested the communications officer. "With military vessels?" Vorthak's voice carried amusement. "No. I think they simply don't know how to fight a real space battle. Their tactics look like something a child would devise." On the tactical display, the human formations looked like chaos. Ships moved in seemingly random patterns. Some accelerated hard in one direction, then suddenly changed course. Others flew in wide spirals that served no apparent purpose. A few ships had actually turned around and were heading back toward their home planet. "Should we adjust our approach, Commander?" asked Sektar. "No. Maintain standard attack formation Delta 7. We'll engage their outer groups first, destroy them quickly, then move toward their home world. Standard doctrine will be more than sufficient." The Dominion fleet began to deploy, energy weapons powered up with low hums that resonated through ship hulls. Shields came online, creating shimmering barriers around each vessel, targeting systems locked onto the nearest human ships, calculating firing solutions with mechanical precision. Meanwhile, aboard the human destroyer Wildcard, Captain Lisa Park watched the alien deployment with intense interest. Her ship was part of the group that appeared to be making a suicidal charge toward the enemy fleet. In reality, they were gathering critical intelligence. "What do you see, Martinez?" she asked her sensor officer. Ensign Martinez studied his displays. Their shields are calibrated exactly like the computer models predicted. Optimized for energy weapons, especially plasma-based attacks. Physical projectiles should pass right through with minimal resistance. Excellent. What about their formation? Textbook perfect, Captain. Every ship is exactly where it should be, according to standard galactic military doctrine. Maximum firepower projection, overlapping fields of fire, perfect mutual support. Captain Park smiled. She had studied every known space battle in galactic history during her preparation for this day. The aliens fought like chess masters, moving pieces according to proven strategies that had worked for thousands of years. Humans, on the other hand, had learned to fight from video games, street gangs, and soccer matches. "Signal to all ships in our group," Park ordered. "Execute Bumblebee protocol in 30 seconds. The human ship suddenly changed course. Instead of charging straight at the alien fleet, they began moving in complex three-dimensional patterns. They darted up, down, and sideways in ways that violated every principle of space combat that the Dominion had ever studied. Commander Vorthak watched with growing confusion. "What are they doing? These movement patterns make no sense." "Perhaps their navigation systems are malfunctioning?" suggested his weapons officer. "All of them at once? No, this must be some kind of primitive tactic." The human ships continued their erratic dance, moving closer to the Dominion fleet but never in straight lines. They flew like fighter aircraft in an atmosphere, rolling and turning as if gravity still mattered. To the aliens, it looked like the humans didn't understand how space combat was supposed to work. In the Galactic Council chambers, war strategist Zix Thara watched the battle begin with satisfaction. "Observe how the humans waste energy with unnecessary maneuvering. They clearly don't understand that in space, the most efficient path is always a straight line." The council members made various sounds of agreement. The floating jellyfish pulsed with amused colors. The tree-like creature rustled its branches in what passed for laughter among its species. "Their ships are even using chemical rockets for propulsion," noted another council member. "So primitive. Our gravitic drives are far more efficient." What the aliens didn't understand was that human ships were built for acceleration, not efficiency. While alien vessels could maintain steady speeds for long periods, human ships could change direction and velocity far more quickly. Those primitive chemical rockets could generate thrust that would tear apart the more elegant alien propulsion systems. The doing. First exchange of fire began when the human ships came within range of the Dominion fleet's outer perimeter. Alien plasma cannons fired in perfect coordination, sending streams of superheated energy toward the human vessels. The humans responded in a way that shocked every alien observer. Instead of returning fire immediately, they accelerated even harder. Their ships pulled G-forces that would have killed most alien species, but humans who had evolved on a high-gravity world could handle acceleration that pancaked other creatures. "They're not even firing back," observed Commander Vorthak. "Are they trying to ram us?" Some human ships did indeed seem to be on collision courses, but at the last second, they would fire their maneuvering thrusters and slip past alien vessels by mere meters. As they passed, they finally opened fire. But their weapons were nothing like what the aliens expected. Instead of energy beams, the humans fired solid projectiles. Chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic rails. Swarms of tiny missiles that moved too fast for point defense systems to track. Most surprisingly, they fired these weapons at point-blank range, after getting so close that alien shields were almost useless. "Impossible," Zix Thara exclaimed as she watched the tactical feeds. "They're using kinetic weapons inside our defensive perimeter." That's not how space combat works. But the humans were already moving on to their next targets. Their ships scattered again, but now the aliens could see there was a pattern to their movements. The humans were using the gravitational fields of planets and moons to slingshot themselves at impossible angles. One group of human ships actually dove into the atmosphere of a gas giant, using the planet's thick air to change direction in ways that no spaceborne species had ever considered. They emerged from the other side, moving in a completely different direction, confusing alien targeting computers that had calculated their trajectory based on standard physics. "Commander," reported Sektar, his voice tight with concern. "We've lost 6 ships in the first exchange. The humans somehow bypassed our shields entirely." Vorthak stared at the tactical display. This wasn't how battles were supposed to go. The humans should have formed up in proper lines, exchanged fire at a respectful distance, and been destroyed by superior alien technology. Instead, they were flying around like angry insects, stinging wherever they found an opening. "All ships maintain formation," he ordered. "They cannot keep up these chaotic maneuvers indefinitely. We will wait for them to exhaust their fuel, then destroy them systematically." But the human ships showed no signs of slowing down. If anything, they were getting more aggressive. Groups of human vessels began working together in ways that the alien computers couldn't predict. They would split apart, then suddenly converge on a single alien ship from multiple directions simultaneously. Captain Park's voice came over the human command frequency. "All units, the enemy is responding exactly as predicted. They're trying to fight us like we're other aliens. Time to show them what human creativity looks like." The real battle was about to begin. The battle had been raging for 15 minutes when Commander Vorthak realized something was terribly wrong. His perfectly organized fleet was starting to fall apart. Human ships moved through space like they were swimming through water instead of flying through vacuum. They turned and twisted in ways that hurt his brain to watch. "Report," he barked at his tactical officer. Sektar's multiple eyes darted between displays. "We've lost 23 ships. Damage reports are coming in from 47 more. The humans are using tactics that our computers cannot predict or counter." On the main screen, Vorthak watched a group of human ships perform a maneuver that defied all logic. 3 destroyers flew straight at one of his heavy cruisers, but instead of attacking it directly, they suddenly split apart. One ship flew over the cruiser, one flew under it, and one flew straight through the middle of the alien formation. As they passed, each human ship fired different weapons. The top ship launched a spread of missiles. The bottom ship fired kinetic rounds. The middle ship did something that made Vorthak's blood run cold. It ejected its entire missile payload and detonated it like a giant bomb. The explosion caught the alien cruiser completely off guard. Its shields were designed to stop directed energy attacks, not massive pressure waves. The ship's hull cracked like an eggshell. "How are they coordinating these attacks?" Vorthak demanded. "Our signals intelligence shows they're using basic radio communications. There should be transmission delays, interference, confusion." What the aliens didn't understand was that humans had been coordinating complex group activities for thousands of years. From hunting parties to sports teams to military units, humans had learned to work together with an instinct that came from millions of years of evolution. Captain Park's voice crackled over the radio to her squadron. "Wild card to jackpot. You've got 3 aliens coming up on your 6. Maverick and Lucky 7, can you give them some attention? Copy that, wild card. Maverick is going high, Lucky 7 is going low. Jackpot, punch it on our mark." The conversation took less than 10 seconds. No computers, no formal protocols, no complicated command structures. Just humans talking to each other like they were playing a game. But from the alien perspective, it looked like magic. 3 human ships moved in perfect coordination without any apparent communication. They attacked from impossible angles, supported each other without orders, and adapted to changing situations faster than alien computers could calculate responses. Things got worse when the humans started using their ships in ways that violated every rule of civilized warfare. Commander Torres aboard the destroyer Crazy Horse had taken significant damage from a plasma cannon hit. Instead of retreating for repairs, he did something that shocked every alien who witnessed it. "All hands abandon ship," Torres announced calmly. "Set autopilot for ramming speed." The crew evacuated in escape pods while Torres guided his dying ship directly into the alien battlecruiser that had damaged him. But instead of just ramming the enemy vessel, Torres waited until the last second and detonated his ship's reactor. The explosion vaporized both ships and damaged 3 more alien vessels nearby. "Barbaric," exclaimed Zixthera from her council chamber. "They're using their own ships as weapons. That's not warfare, that's terrorism." But the humans were just getting started. Captain Rodriguez of the heavy cruiser Defiance found himself surrounded by 5 alien ships. Instead of fighting them directly, he did something that made alien tactical computers crash trying to process it. He flew straight into an asteroid field. The aliens followed, confident that their superior sensors and computers would give them an advantage among the rocks. They were wrong. Rodriguez knew every asteroid in this field, because human miners had been working it for 5 years. He flew between rocks like he was driving through his own neighborhood. The aliens, following their computers, flew in straight lines and optimal paths. They flew directly into several asteroids that Rodriguez had led them toward. Their targeting systems, designed for clean space combat, couldn't lock onto human ships that were hiding behind rocks and using the asteroids as cover. Even worse for the aliens. Rodriguez started using the asteroids as weapons. He fired kinetic rounds at specific rocks, sending them tumbling toward alien ships. He used his ship's tractor beam to grab smaller asteroids and throw them like stones. When he ran out of ammunition, Rodriguez did something that would have gotten him court-martialed in any alien military. He used his ship's mining lasers, tools meant for cutting rock, to slice through alien armor that wasn't designed to resist industrial equipment. "These humans are insane," reported one alien captain. "They're using mining equipment as weapons. They're hiding behind rocks. They're ramming us with their own vessels. Don't they understand the rules of engagement?" The answer was simple. Humans didn't care about rules when their survival was at stake. The real shock came when human Marines started boarding alien ships. The first boarding action happened when Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim's corvette was badly damaged and couldn't escape from an alien destroyer. Instead of surrendering, Kim did something that had never been attempted in galactic military history. She rammed her ship into the alien vessel's docking bay and led her crew in a boarding assault. The aliens were completely unprepared for this. Their internal security systems were designed to repel energy weapons and maybe deal with riots among their own crew. They had never imagined that enemy soldiers would actually board their ships during combat. Kim and her Marines fought through the alien ship with weapons that horrified their opponents. While aliens used clean energy weapons that killed quickly, humans carried projectile weapons that made holes, chemical weapons that burned, and explosives that destroyed everything nearby. But the worst part for the aliens was that humans fought differently. Alien soldiers were trained to engage enemies in open areas with clear fields of fire. Humans used cover, threw grenades around corners, and turned every corridor into an ambush site. Kim's team reached the alien ship's bridge in 12 minutes. They found the alien captain hiding behind a force field that was designed to stop energy weapons. It took exactly one fragmentation grenade to show him that human weapons didn't care about his advanced defenses. "Bridge secured," Kim reported over the radio. "We've got ourselves an alien destroyer." Word of the successful boarding spread through the human fleet instantly. Within minutes, other damaged human ships were attempting ramming attacks, not to destroy alien vessels but to capture them. Commander Vorthak watched his fleet's status display with growing horror. Not only were his ships being destroyed, some were actually changing sides. Human crews were taking control of alien vessels and turning their weapons against their former owners. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No species fights like this. Where is their honor? Where is their discipline? Where are their rules?" His communications officer, a nervous creature that looked like a walking stick insect, spoke up quietly. "Sir, maybe they don't have any rules." The thought was too terrible for Vorthak to accept. Every civilized species had rules for warfare. There were proper ways to fight, acceptable weapons to use, and limits to what was considered honorable combat. Humans, apparently, had missed that memo. The battle was now 28 minutes old. According to Zixthera's calculations, human resistance should have collapsed 10 minutes ago. Instead, the Dominion fleet was taking losses at a rate that hadn't been seen in over 1,000 years, and the humans were just getting warmed up. 35 minutes into the battle, the unthinkable happened. The Dominion fleet, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, began to retreat. Fleet Commander Vorthak stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Red indicators showed damaged or destroyed ships scattered across the battlefield. Yellow markers indicated vessels that had gone silent, either captured by humans or destroyed so quickly their computers couldn't even send distress signals. "Sir," reported his communications officer, voice shaking with fear, "we're receiving requests for new orders from the fleet. Many captains are asking permission to withdraw to safer positions." Safer positions? Vorthak's 6 eyes focused on the display. "We have 10,000 ships. They have a few hundred. How can there be no safe positions?" The answer was flying directly toward his flagship at that very moment. Commander Jake Morrison led a squadron of human fighters in what looked like another suicide attack. His ships were tiny compared to the massive alien dreadnought, but Morrison had something that no alien commander had ever possessed: the absolute certainty that conventional tactics would get him killed. "This is Wildfire Squadron," Morrison announced over the radio. "Beginning attack run on the alien command ship. All fighters, remember, they expect us to attack their weapons and engines. So we're going to do something else entirely." Morrison's fighters dove toward the eternal glory like angry hornets. Alien point defense systems opened fire, filling space with energy beams designed to stop incoming missiles. But human fighters were smaller and faster than any missile the aliens had ever faced. More importantly, they were piloted by beings who had spent their entire lives playing games that required split-second reflexes and creative thinking. "Break left on my mark," Morrison called. 3, 2, 1 mark. The human fighters scattered in all directions, moving so fast and so randomly that alien computers couldn't track them all. Some flew straight at the dreadnought's hull. Others curved around toward the ship's rear. A few actually flew underneath the massive vessel, using its own bulk to shield them from defensive fire. "What are they targeting?" Vorthak demanded. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings. "Nothing, sir. They're not firing at any critical systems. They seem to be attacking random points on the hull." That was exactly what Morrison was doing. While alien ships were covered with armor and shields, they also had one weak point that no galactic species had ever thought to exploit: their docking bays. Human fighters weren't trying to destroy the alien ship. They were trying to get inside it. "Wildfire leader to base," Morrison reported. "We're going to try something crazy. If it works, we'll have control of their flagship in 5 minutes. If it doesn't work, tell my wife I love her." Morrison's fighter dove directly into the dreadnought's main shuttle bay. The opening was designed for large cargo vessels, not small military craft. Morrison's ship fit inside with room to spare, but the aliens had never considered that an enemy might actually try to enter their ship through the front door. The fighter skidded across the bay floor, crashed into a loading crane, and came to a stop in a shower of sparks. Morrison kicked open his cockpit and jumped out, carrying a backpack full of weapons and explosives. Behind him, more human fighters were landing in the shuttle bay. Some crashed, some landed gracefully, but all of them disgorged Marines who immediately began fighting their way into the ship's interior. "Internal security alert," shouted an alien voice over the dreadnought's communication system. "Enemy forces have somehow materialized inside the shuttle bay." Vorthak couldn't believe what he was hearing. "How did they get past our shields?" "Sir, they didn't go through the shields. They went around them. The shuttle bay force field was designed to keep air in, not to keep enemies out. It was a security flaw that no one had ever considered. After all, what species would be crazy enough to fly their ships directly into an enemy vessel's loading dock? Humans, apparently. Morrison and his Marines fought through the dreadnought's corridors using tactics that horrified the alien crew. They moved in small groups, covered each other's advances, and used every piece of equipment they found as either a weapon or a tool. When they encountered a heavily armed alien security team, Morrison didn't engage them directly. Instead, he had his demolitions expert plant charges on the corridor's support beams. When the aliens advanced, the ceiling collapsed on them. When they found an alien computer terminal, Marine Corporal Patel didn't try to hack it. She just ripped out the cables and used them to electrocute the next group of aliens they encountered. "These humans fight like animals," reported one alien security officer. "They use their environment as a weapon. They turn our own ship against us. They have no honor." Morrison's response when he heard this over a captured radio was simple: "Honor doesn't stop bullets." The human assault team reached the dreadnought's bridge in 8 minutes. They found Commander Vorthak and his senior officers barricaded behind force fields and defensive barriers that had been designed to stop energy, weapons, and conventional explosives. Morrison looked at the alien defenses and smiled. Then he pulled out a device that made every alien on the bridge freeze with terror: a simple crowbar. "You know what the problem with advanced technology is?" Morrison asked as he jammed the crowbar into the force field generator's power coupling. "It always has a mechanical component somewhere." The force field flickered and died. Morrison's Marines advanced on the alien command crew with weapons that were thousands of years older than anything else on the ship. Knives, clubs, and their own fists. The aliens surrendered immediately. Bridge secured. Morrison reported over his radio. "We've got control of their command ship. And guys, you're not going to believe this. They've been recording everything. Every tactical plan, every fleet position, every weakness in their formations. It's all right here in their computers." Admiral Chen's voice crackled back over the radio. "Outstanding work, Commander. Download everything you can find and transmit it to the fleet. Let's see how they like fighting us when we know all their secrets." In the Galactic Council chambers, war strategist Zixithera watched the tactical display with mounting horror. The human attack on the flagship had been broadcast live to the entire Dominion fleet. Every alien captain could see their most powerful ship being captured by a handful of human soldiers. "This is impossible," she whispered. "No species has ever captured a Dominion dreadnought. The security systems alone should have stopped them." But the humans hadn't been stopped by security systems, shields, armor, or weapons. They had been stopped by nothing because they had approached the problem in a way that no alien military planner had ever considered. "Council leader," spoke the floating jellyfish, its colors pulsing with alarm. "Our fleet is requesting permission to withdraw. Morale is collapsing. The humans have demonstrated capabilities that our tactical doctrine cannot counter." The tree-like council member rustled its branches anxiously. "How can a primitive species defeat our most advanced military technology?" Zixithera studied the battle reports flowing in from the combat zone. Human tactics made no sense according to everything she knew about warfare. They used weapons in ways they weren't designed for. They turned civilian equipment into military assets. They treated their own ships like expendable ammunition. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to enjoy the chaos they were creating. "Send new orders to the fleet," Zixithera said finally. "All ships are to maintain distance from human forces. Use long-range weapons only. Do not allow them to get close enough for boarding actions." But even as she gave the order, Zixithera knew it was already too late. The humans had proven that they could reach any ship anywhere, using tactics that alien computers couldn't predict or counter. The galaxy's greatest military force was learning a lesson that would change everything. Sometimes the most advanced technology in the universe was no match for pure, creative stubbornness. The battle had lasted 37 minutes. According to the original plan, human resistance should have ended half an hour ago. Instead, the aliens were running for their lives. 43 minutes after the battle began, something unprecedented happened in the 3,000-year history of the Galactic Dominion. Fleet Commander Vorthak, standing on the bridge of his captured flagship with human marines pointing weapons at him, spoke the words that no Dominion officer had ever been forced to say. "All Dominion forces, this is Fleet Commander Vorthak. I am ordering a complete and unconditional surrender. Cease all hostile actions immediately, and prepare to receive human boarding parties." The silence that followed his transmission was deafening. Across the battlefield, alien ships slowed to a stop. Weapons powered down, shields dropped. For the first time in galactic history, a Dominion invasion fleet was surrendering to a species they had expected to conquer in hours. Commander Morrison stood behind Vorthak, still holding the crowbar he had used to break into the alien command center. "Smart choice," he said. "Though I have to ask, what took you so long?" Vorthak's 6 eyes focused on the human with something approaching respect. "We had to understand that we were not fighting a conventional enemy. You do not wage war the way civilized species do." "Civilized?" Morrison laughed. "Commander, we've been fighting wars on our planet for thousands of years. We've learned that survival beats civilization every time." In the Galactic Council chambers, the 12 species representatives sat in stunned silence. The holographic display showed the impossible. Their invincible fleet surrendering to a handful of primitive human ships. War strategist Zixithera stared at the tactical readout with the expression of someone whose entire worldview had just collapsed. "How?" she whispered. "How did they defeat us so completely?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Sarah Kim, the human marine who had led the first successful boarding action, was now standing on the bridge of the captured alien destroyer. Her image appeared on the Council's communication screen, transmitted from the alien ship she had taken by force. "You want to know how we won?" Dr. Kim asked, still wearing her combat armor and carrying her rifle. "You made one critical mistake. You assumed we would fight like you." The floating jellyfish pulsed with confused colors. "We used superior technology, proven tactics, and overwhelming numerical advantage. These are the foundations of military victory." Not against humans, Kim replied. See, you've been fighting the same way for thousands of years. You've perfected your technology and your tactics until they work flawlessly against other aliens. But we didn't learn to fight from military academies or ancient traditions. She gestured toward the alien bridge around her, where human technicians were already learning to operate the captured ship systems. We learned to fight from video games, sports, street gangs, and playground battles. We learned that rules are things that other people follow while you figure out how to win. The tree-like council member rustled its branches anxiously. But your technology is primitive. Your ships are crude. Your weapons are outdated. Exactly, Kim said with a smile. You built everything to fight other aliens. Your shields stop energy weapons, so we used kinetic weapons. Your tactics assume rational behavior, so we acted crazy. Your formations are perfect for fighting other formations, so we didn't use formations at all. Admiral Chen's voice joined the conversation from the bridge of the Indomitable. Council members, you spent thousands of years building the perfect military machine. The problem is that perfect machines are predictable, and predictable opponents are easy to beat if you're willing to break the rules. Zixthera's compound eyes glittered with something that might have been fear. What do you want from us? Your species has demonstrated that our military cannot stop you. Are you planning to conquer the galaxy? Chen's laugh carried genuine amusement. Conquer the galaxy? We don't want to rule anybody. We just want to be left alone to develop our own civilization in peace. But you have proven yourselves the superior military force, protested the Serpentine Council member. By the laws of galactic civilization, that gives you the right to rule over us. Your laws, not ours, Chen replied. Humans fight when we have to, but we prefer to build things. We'd rather trade with you than conquer you. We'd rather learn from you than rule over you. The council members exchanged glances, or whatever passed for glances among their various species. This was a concept that none of them had encountered before. Every species in galactic history had used military victory to establish dominance over others. What are your terms? Zixthera asked finally. Chen consulted a datapad. Simple. Recognize human independence and sovereignty over our territory. Establish formal diplomatic relations. Open trade negotiations. And most importantly, update your military training to include irregular warfare tactics, because you're going to need them if you ever encounter another species like us. Commander Morrison's voice joined the conversation from the captured dreadnought. And maybe consider that your perfect military doctrine might need some updating. Just a suggestion. The council chamber fell silent as the representatives considered this unprecedented situation. They had expected to either conquer the humans or be conquered by them. The possibility of a negotiated peace between equals had never occurred to them. The floating jellyfish pulsed with thoughtful colors. You are proposing that we treat your species as equals, despite the fact that you have just demonstrated clear military superiority? That's exactly what we're proposing, Chen replied. Look, we know we surprised you today. We used tactics that your computers couldn't predict, and your training didn't prepare you for. But that doesn't make us better than you. It just makes us different. She paused, watching the alien council members process this information. The thing is, we learned today that we're really good at breaking things. But you've built an amazing galactic civilization that we could never create on our own. Maybe instead of fighting each other, we could work together. Dr. Kim added her voice from the captured destroyer. Besides, you really don't want to be our enemies. We're creative, stubborn, and we don't know when to quit. Trust me, you want us on your side. The council voted unanimously to accept human terms. 3 hours later, Admiral Chen stood in her ready room aboard the Indomitable, composing her final battle report. Outside her window, alien ships were already departing the Sol system under human escort. Some carried diplomats preparing for formal negotiations. Others carried military observers who wanted to study human tactics. A few carried alien civilians who had requested permission to visit Earth and learn about human culture. Personal log. Admiral Sarah Chen, she spoke to her computer. The Battle of Sol has ended with complete human victory. Enemy casualties. Approximately 800 vessels destroyed or captured. Human casualties. 42 ships lost. 317 personnel killed in action. She paused, thinking about those numbers. By the standards of galactic warfare, it had been a minor skirmish. By human standards, it had been the most important battle in their species' history. The aliens fought exactly as their training and doctrine demanded, she continued. They used superior technology, proven tactics, and overwhelming force. Under normal circumstances, They should have won easily. Chen smiled as she thought about the captured alien commander who had asked her how humans had achieved victory against such overwhelming odds. Unfortunately for them, humans don't do normal circumstances. We do whatever it takes to survive. We improvise, we adapt, we overcome. And when someone tells us something is impossible, we take that as a personal challenge. She looked out at the stars, where human ships were already preparing for humanity's first official diplomatic mission to the galactic capital. The aliens wanted to know our secret, Chen concluded. The truth is, we don't have one. We just refuse to accept defeat even when logic says we should. Apparently that's enough. The battle that was supposed to last hours had ended in minutes. The species that was supposed to be conquered had become the newest members of the galactic community. And somewhere in the vastness of space, other species were learning a new rule of warfare. Never underestimate a species that treats impossible odds as a fun challenge. The galaxy would never be the same.